Senator Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr Acting Deputy President. Well, we may have had a change in the Prime Ministership of our...
Order.
We may have had...
Just, Senator Smith, just wait till Senate's silent. Senator Smith, you have the call.
Deputy President, we may have had a change in the Prime Ministership of our country, but we've clearly not had a change in the shallowness, the short-sightedness of Labor senators here. I might just add, Senator Cameron, I think there was only one person who lost sleep last night in our country, and that would have been Bill Shorten. That would have been Bill Shorten, because even though the coalition may have had a change of leader, we didn't have a change of ambition. And of course, our ambition is to make sure that the Australian Labor Party stays out of government. And it's a bit disappointing that Senator Cameron couldn't even find the good grace to reflect positively on what were some significant achievements of the coalition government under the stewardship of Tony Abbott. And I think in my contribution this afternoon I might just reflect on what Mr John Howard had to say about Mr Abbott's contribution stewarding this nation for 2 years in difficult times. And of course, one of the most notable achievements of Mr Abbott in his period of Prime Ministership was the way that he dealt convincingly with the issue of border protection. And I think it's just worth reminding this chamber, reminding Labor senators, what it was that Mr Abbott inherited when he became Prime Minister. And of course we know that under the previous government, 50,000, it's easy to forget the magnitude of the number, but 50,000 asylum seekers arrived on over 800 boats. Labor's policies under the previous government led to 1,100 deaths, not injuries, deaths. And what we saw was 1,000 children in detention centres. And John Howard is absolutely right when this afternoon he reflected on that. And John Howard, for all of his great stewardship of this country over 11 years, John Howard's concession was that he didn't even think it would be possible to correct that. And of course, Mr Abbott did. And Mr Abbott and the coalition government did that. And Mr Howard went on to say that this, in his mind, was one of the most outstanding achievements of the Abbott-led government over the previous 2 years. It's true, these are interesting times politically. It's absolutely correct that the electorate has an increasing expectation of parliamentarians, has an increasing expectation of the governments it elects, but also it's beholden on each of us, and I'm disappointed in Senator Cameron. It'll be interesting to hear the contributions of other Labor senators this afternoon, to not even have the good grace to reflect on what were remarkable achievements that are recognised in the community as being important and sizeable achievements, and achievements that have reflected the priorities of ordinary Australian voters and families over the last 2 years. And I think it's worth just reflecting also on what are some of those other achievements. The abolition of the mining tax, a tax which hit particularly hard in my home state of Western Australia. The abolition of the carbon tax, which hit ordinary households on average about $550 better off, because that has gone. Abolition of the carbon tax, abolition of the mining tax, protecting Australia's borders, and importantly, of course, reducing that significant loss at sea. Then, of course, there are the 335,000 new jobs. Jobs for ordinary Australians that were created under the tenure of Mr Abbott. So the challenge is actually not on the coalition today. The challenge is on the Australian Labor Party and its senators in this place to think about how they will change. How will they change to make sure that Australia and this parliament gets the best possible benefit it can from the new leadership that will be shown from Mr Turnbull. These are important but challenging times for our country. An ageing population, the increasing industrialisation and development of our Asian neighbours, the world is becoming more competitive, and we can't afford to rest. We must stay vigilant, and I'm confident that under the leadership of the new Prime Minister, Mr Turnbull, this country will go from strength to strength.
Senator, your time.